Welcome back. We still have another caller on the line. Who do we have, Lady B?
Paul from Seattle.
Excellent. Paul from Seattle. How are you, brother?
Hey, what's going on? I beg to differ with the last caller. You know, when I look across the Lake Washington, I see a continuous plumage of black smoke just emanating from the top. So I don't know what she's done.
Yeah, with a giant Antifa flag flying on every building. I mean, it's been taken over. It looks like the Purge meets Burning Man. I've heard that's
yeah,
but with better hair.
You know, this is the thing.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about this. Now. So you know, I know you say that the QAnon is going to fade and all this, but you know, there is something known as psychogenic or sociogenic psychosis. Sociogenic psychosis, formerly known as mass hysteria.
Mm-hmm. Dogs and cats living together. I'm familiar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, when you must have heard or seen the clip of this so-called physician testify before the Ohio State Senate.
Yes, with the magnets.
Saying that. Now, I'm not going to argue with. It's too stupid to argue with. She says that your blood is becoming magnetized because she said. Now this is because the vaccine has metal in it now.
Yes, right. Because it has magnets in it. Because that's how because they magnetize the nanoparticles in it that pulls the vaccine into your cells, because the greasy lipids aren't enough to do it, and they want it in every cell in your body. And I mean, I went through this. If you'll recall, like I have had the Pfizer, and for those of you watching on the stream right now, guitar picks now stick to my forehead. If you're watching right now, you'll know that there's and never mind the fact that I just can't. They just keep. It just won't stop. And everybody watching those videos, I want you to pause for a moment and remember the first time you saw someone breathe onto a spoon in a restaurant and stick it onto their oily nose. And this trick has been, and watching it fail was kind of, because you can't do it 3 times. You got to end up cleaning your nose and doing it again. Yeah. You're like, what the heck? And you're back and forth. All those moments of failing with the spoon on the nose trick.
Cleaned my nose
for the first time in years. But basically what we're watching is someone at a restaurant failing multiple times trying to do the spoon on the nose trick. We've all seen it happen. We've all seen the kind of good-hearted embarrassment that goes along with it. Is you're like, no, this usually works. The same thing is happening on this scale with these folks. But again, these folks, that mass psychosis you're talking about is completely supported by troll farms boosting this nonsense up beyond the normal level of sort of, particulated lunacy that exists in the populace, and giving it the illusion. The QAnon thing is an example of that. The adherents of QAnon are supposedly somewhere in the order of 3 to 5 million people. If not, the number I've heard is as large as 11 million people, which includes anybody who baseline believes that there was fraud, or believes that there was, in the election, or that there was some other, that they don't trust the vaccines, or they think China sent them. There's like a lot of watery zones, or that the Obama was spying on Trump, and Trump really is playing, 5D Spock chess, even though he's screwing the pooch every time he turns around. So these folks, the real number, I think, is boosted by troll farms and the like to make it look like it's more severe than it is. And once that troll farm turns to another source, and the QAnon, the guy who was posting, Ron Watkins and his son, Jim Watkins and his son Ron, were posting as Q, leading all these people by the nose. Once that stopped, a huge chunk of those people fell apart, and they were showing up on Today's show going, I can't believe I thought Anderson Cooper ate babies. There's a fever that breaks when you have mass hysteria as well. That's another psychological aspect of it. And that's kind of what's happening. The problem is, when it happens, some people go more violently in that direction because they'd rather be right than happy.
Yep.
That's the danger of it. So my concern going forward is that these folks, they leave the psychosis of QAnon, but they're convinced that, a lot of it was right. It was just the fact that it was Trump that was fighting the cabal, and not magic I don't know, some form of like Inviso Jesus that's like the 900-foot Jesus that Oral Roberts saw outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, sky punching it, at the cabal, and he needs your help. It used to be one of my bits about why I never understood people who killed for God, because like he needs any help killing. You know what I mean? He can create, he can create tornadoes and hurricanes and floods and lightning bolts, and he can give people cancer.
Yeah, he does seem to have it all sewn up.
But he just can't seem to get that one LGBTQ activist that's running around. What the heck? You know what I need? I need a redneck with a rifle. That'll do it.
He works in mysterious ways.
It is very mysterious. That would be the peak of mysteriosity, is to ask one of those people for help. So, and I won't go into the bit because you got to see me live. But the point being is that these folks will always have something to cling to, but usually, honest to God, usually it's a heightened form of religion and NASCAR. They have some sport, local team, adversarial relationship with the next town over. Louisville versus Lexington, Kentucky, UK versus the Cardinals, that kind of stuff, which eats up an exorbitant amount of brain space for them most of the time, until such time as this, QAnon level thing comes in and starts to fill all the emotional gaps that sports just doesn't do. No matter how good your team is, you don't believe that they are dunking on a cabal of pedivores who are drinking adrenochrome and kids' blood, right? And you feel like you're one of the keyboard warriors who's going to help stop this.
You're
and
special.
if you love, right, it's giving you significance, which is one of the key psychological attributes that people need, which also feeds into political extremism. People, being negotiating, operating within the understanding that other people have similar values but different execution strategies, different tactics for the same principles over time, and that you can communicate with them, that makes you feel insignificant because you're not a revolutionary anymore. You're an adult doing adult stuff. Whereas there is a toddler effect in the political extremes. If you feel like we have to it's why the word fight is so frequently used in our political discourse, when that is not what we do. It's not what democracies do. Democracies do not fight for your values and your rights and that kind of stuff. You don't amongst themselves. You fight other countries who want to stop democracies for that stuff. In and amongst yourself, you debate and you exchange ideas. You negotiate, right, to try and come out with the best outcome for people, to prove that it works, that people of different backgrounds. Otherwise, you're just fighting for a racially homogenous countries. That's really what you're shooting for. You're just saying, you know what works? Russia for Russians, Britain for Britons, Japan for Japanese, China for Chinese. It's better if we all just go back to our home tribal base, and in America, what we'll just do is create little racial tribes in this country that has the illusion of a melting pot when it's really a salad. That's what you're saying. But it's very significant to feel like you're a revolutionary, even if you never actually change anything. Even if the changes you make are incremental, the things you deride. Anyway, it's a fascinating discussion, and we will continue it every Saturday, 9 to 11 Pacific time on Chicago's Progressive Talk, 11 to 1 Central Time. Please join us. Thank you to our patrons, patreon.com/Hal Sparks for your support. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you for the super chats and the bits and all that kind of stuff, and I appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.